Detroit has finished a chapter, okay? The narrative of the motor car industry, the creation of the middle class, where people of very little education could nevertheless earn a decent salary or wage that would enable them to live reasonable and well, which after all is not an outrageous thing. All of that is gone.
See that building on the left, that corner building? That's Transmat. That's where it all started. Next to it was Metroplex, and then that building right there was KMS. This is Techno Boulevard. I would come down here and I would hear Strings of Life all on these. Press a button and a different version would be recorded.
Detroit has been going through a crisis for a long time, but there are all kinds of signs that it may be pulling out of the crisis, right? There are economic signs with the regeneration of downtown, midtown. There are cultural signs, the opening of MoCab, which has been important to me. The number of artists, not only from around the country, but from around the world, who are moving to Detroit. The way in which Detroit has generated extraordinary interest way beyond America. And as these signs of revival, Renaissance, which is a very Detroit thing, Renaissance are registered, it makes the crisis more acute, because that's when people begin to talk about displacement.
There used to be a lot of drugs and prostitution down this area. It used to be rough down here, man. Blocks and blocks of no economic activity on the block. Soon, like a building like this will soon be renovated for hipsters. They cleaned it up a lot.
So how would they clean it up?
Well, okay, that's a good question. I'm gonna show you. Like for example, here, these houses did not exist on this. This was a junkie street. All these new apartments and buildings.
Actually quite ugly, I think.
This is hardcore right here. See, change, you know, it happens to these people, not created by them or for them.
Yeah. White people in the suburbs might consider, you know, Detroit unsafe. Certainly, many of them do. Many of them do. The comments, if you read comments in the papers about the divide between the city and suburbs. Suburban Detroiters mostly white. Detroiters mostly black. The conversation is not pretty.
In a general way, it's race. So white people here, black people here.
All right.
That's in general how that line works. We have very strange ideas about space, and you know, all of these divisions are made by people. This is not nature. This is something that people got together and made a decision about. So let's take a trip. So there's so much that you just don't get to see in the portrayal of Detroit. Because, like, you know, there's another church. And the thing that's crazy is, you got the church and then you got the liquor store. You know, the two most popular businesses in Detroit. And I think that when people people are depressed. They look for any kind of escape. And so again, you know, sometimes it's drugs, sometimes it's God, you know. When everything is good, you don't need escape. You know, church, back there was a church, and here's another small one. Oh, that's a counseling center, sponsored by the church. This is homeless, hungry, food and water, work anytime, I have a license, God bless. Here, all the way down to the other side there, maybe it's 3 or 4 city blocks. This is the Packard plant. Have you guys seen that? So yeah, so this is the other side. This is the other side. But like again, this would be where the family would stay. And then here's, you know, they made it a garage, but this is where the slaves would stay before.
And so really what is being talked about when one talks about part of the crisis here is what about African Americans in all of this? And I'm saying they're not going anywhere. They're going to be here. The middle class African Americans are going to be here. The working class African Americans are going to be here. The blue collar African Americans are going to be here. They are going to be here. But they will be here in a narrative that is more complex. I don't accept as legitimate the idea of talking about the city in terms of possession. Right? Because it's the very idea of possession which has led to many of the problems of the city in the first place, because possession implies that you have the right to do what you want with what is yours. I'm saying that's what we have to get rid of. Who owns the city? And to my mind, the answer is evidently no one. I came upon a form of art here called social practice, which I didn't honestly think is something that would interest me until I came to Detroit and I started looking at the Heidelberg Project. I looked at the Powerhouse Project, which is based in an area on the borders of Hamtramck and Detroit, where two people, Gina Reichert and Mitch Cope, started a project to buy houses, take them off the grid, hence Powerhouse, take it off the grid, create new, and make it independent of the power grid. Invited other people to come visit them, and in the end, people from Germany, people from Holland, people from LA, New York, started to visit. But social practice doesn't create work, for the most part, that's meant to go on walls. They're building houses. The Powerhouse Project is based on the Project Row House in...
It's creating energy fields.
It's creating energy fields in Texas, in Houston, Texas, right? So where people are being shown care. The environment is being shown care. And you bring together people in such a way that you create collaborations, you create participation. But collaboration is the main thing.
You have these places where people came up with these new ideas.
Right.
And decided that that was not the future that they were going to agree with. They were going to make their own future. There's just all of these negative things that were happening. But we have, you know, people making music called Big Fun and Good Life.
Right.
You know, the strings of life. And like that's what happens when you have vision.
Right.
Is that you're not just seeing what's in front of you. You can see all kinds of things.
You completed with your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that every city, every community needs those people.
There are people for whom Detroit is a kind of, it's a playground. But we can use, I would like to say play. It's a space for play, right? Rather than a playground. It's a space for play. And that space is to do with a need to play, right? Because if everything is instrumental, if everything is about being able to justify what you do economically, then you know that you're in something that's spiritually dead. Something is happening in Detroit where space is being treated in a playful way. But not everyone grasps the importance of play, right? Because they want jobs. They want jobs, they want money, they want more of... And it's not even that they're being materialist, but that precisely the inability to play means that they can only think in rather narrow terms.
And this is a famous spot called St. Andrews. Used to become the Majestic. I used to DJ here. That's a nice restaurant right there. One other thing I wanted to show you. Okay. Yeah, that's famous. Now, they started renovating lofts out here. Like you would never thought that they would do something like up in here. And like I'm told that they're like really nice looking lofts. Like a friend of mine from London staying here. And I'm told that they're there's a strange story about this theater.